Hello and welcome to today's video. In this session, we'll explore the impact of Marxism on the colonial and post-colonial world. From Asia to Latin America, Africa, and the Pan-African diaspora, Marxist thought inspired revolutions and liberation movements in the fight against imperialism and exploitation. Let's break it down by region. Marxism in Asia. The spread of Marxism in Asia was deeply tied to anti-colonial struggles, as the ideology provided a framework to critique imperialism and rally the oppressed. India. Marxism arrived in India during the early 20th century, influencing the country's labor movements and independence struggle. Key figures like M.N. Roy, one of the founders of the Communist Party of India, CPI, in 1920, adapted Marxist ideas to India's unique conditions. Roy argued that India's anti-colonial struggle needed to align with global proletarian movements. The CPI played a critical role in organizing workers, peasants, and intellectuals against British colonial rule. Marxist ideas also influenced leaders like Bhagat Singh, who envisioned a socialist India free from both imperialism and economic exploitation. China. China's engagement with Marxism transformed it into a revolutionary force under the leadership of Mao Zedong. Mao adapted Marxism to fit China's largely agrarian society, emphasizing the role of the peasantry in revolution, a departure from Marx's focus on the industrial proletariat. The success of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, in the 1949 Chinese Revolution marked a historic victory for Marxism in the global South, establishing the People's Republic of China and setting the stage for future anti-colonial struggles worldwide. Vietnam. In Vietnam, Marxism became a guiding ideology for the Vietnamese Communist Party, led by Ho Chi Minh. Ho merged Marxist-Leninist principles with Vietnamese nationalism to fight French colonial rule and later U.S. imperialism. The Vietnamese victory at Dien Bien Phu in 1954 and the eventual unification of Vietnam in 1975 after the Vietnam War were seen as triumphs of Marxist-inspired anti-imperialist resistance. Latin American Marxism. Marxism found fertile ground in Latin America, where economic inequality and foreign domination fueled revolutionary movements. Cuba. The Cuban Revolution of 1959, led by Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, stands as one of the most iconic Marxist-inspired uprisings. After overthrowing the U.S.-backed Batista regime, Castro declared Cuba a socialist state, aligning with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Cuba became a symbol of resistance to imperialism and a beacon of hope for other revolutionary movements across the global South. Nicaragua. The Sandinista National Liberation Front, FSLN, in Nicaragua, inspired by Marxist and anti-imperialist principles, overthrew the Somoza dictatorship in 1979. The Sandinistas focused on land reform, literacy campaigns, and reducing economic inequality, although they faced significant opposition from U.S.-backed Contra forces. Beyond Cuba and Nicaragua, Marxism influenced other movements across the region, including Chile under Salvador Allende, who sought to implement socialism through democratic means, and revolutionary guerrilla movements in countries like Colombia and El Salvador. Africa's early engagements with Marxism. In Africa, Marxism was instrumental in shaping anti-colonial movements and post-independence governance. Anti-colonial struggles. Marxist principles resonated with African leaders fighting against colonial exploitation. For example, in Angola, the MPLA, Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola, adopted Marxism-Leninism to fight Portuguese colonial rule. In Mozambique, the Frelimo movement drew from Marxist ideas to lead its liberation struggle. Post-independence Marxist states. After independence, leaders like Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and Julius Nyerere of Tanzania experimented with Marxist-inspired policies. Nkrumah sought to unite Africa under socialism, while Nyerere's Ujamaa policy aimed to implement African socialism rooted in communal values. Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso adopted Marxist ideas to launch radical reforms, including land redistribution, gender equality, and environmental initiatives. Marxism in the Pan-African world. Marxism also deeply influenced the broader Pan-African world, connecting African liberation movements with Caribbean intellectuals and African Americans. Caribbean intellectuals. Thinkers like C.L.R. James and Eric Williams combined Marxism with anti-colonial critiques. James's seminal work, The Black Jacobins, analyzed the Haitian Revolution through a Marxist lens, showcasing the role of enslaved workers in overthrowing French colonial rule. African American connections. In the United States, figures like W.E.B. Du Bois and organizations like the Black Panther Party drew from Marxist ideas to address systemic racism and economic exploitation. The Black Panthers merged Marxism with a focus on self-determination and community empowerment. Cross-regional solidarity. Pan-African and Marxist movements often intersected. For instance, the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, AAPRP, inspired by Nkrumah's vision, sought to unite Africa and its diaspora under socialism. The Tricontinental Conference in Havana in 1966 brought together revolutionary leaders from Africa, Asia, and Latin America, fostering global solidarity against imperialism. Marxism's influence on the colonial world cannot be overstated. It provided a framework for critiquing imperialism, uniting oppressed peoples, and imagining a more equitable future. In Asia, Marxism inspired revolutions in China, Vietnam, and beyond. In Latin America, it fueled iconic struggles in Cuba, Nicaragua, and other nations. In Africa, it guided both anti-colonial movements and post-independence governance. Across the Pan-African world, Marxism connected diverse struggles for liberation and solidarity. Though Marxism faced challenges and adaptations in each context, its global legacy endures, reminding us of its role in the fight for justice and equality. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions on history, politics, and revolutionary ideas. See you next time.